let's talk about the devil in the details, because the angel lurking over all of this is fundamentally we're protecting children from being exploited online. Okay, so, well, there are children and they are exploited online and they deserve protection, so that's all and good. What steps are taken in the bill to actually protect children who are being exploited online? And then how do we segue from that to hate? Like, because those aren't the same universe.
There's, as I say, there are 3 bits in the bill, and they're in the same bill, but they're distinct. So there's the human rights aspect, there's the criminal code aspect, and then this third aspect, which is primarily one that's aimed at the protecting kids, is an administrative regime that gives an agency the power essentially to supervise the online platforms. But it also gives them the power to make the rules. So we don't even know what the rules are going to be. Basically, it just gives the whole control of the thing to a government agency, to the bureaucrats, to do as they think best.
Right,
in the name
they're
of
establishing an entirely new bureaucracy.
Exactly, yes.
With an unspecified range of power, with a non-specific purview that purports to protect children from online exploitation, but has the possibility of turning into a policing state for the internet per se.
And this is often how the administrative state works, right? So this agency will not be policing citizens themselves directly, but they'll be policing the online platforms, and the platforms will thereby censor the people who are using them. So we're not doing it. We're hands off. We're 2 steps removed situation. But in effect, it is the government pulling the strings of the.
Okay. So to what degree do you think that even the setup of that new administrative bureaucracy, which has very extensive powers and very poorly defined powers, as far as I could tell when I read the bill.
Yes.
How much of that do you think is actually devoted genuinely? I know this is a judgment call, obviously, but you have to infer that from the legislation.
Right.
If the legislation was honest and well written, it would very specifically target the target of its purported reason for existence.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If it was designed, for example, to produce a more general regime for online policing, to me, that's what it looks like. And if so, is that a consequence of poor legislative design? Is it a consequence of intent? Like, what do you think's going on there?
Well, what's going on there is
The cost of living has already increased 17% this year and continues to rise despite interest rate controls. As our national debt skyrockets, you need to be confident in the financial service companies you work with, especially regarding your money and future. Birch Gold is a proven industry leader that you want on your side. They'll show you how precious metal investment can fortify your lifestyle and retirement, even in turbulent economic times. Birch Gold understands that navigating financial decisions can be daunting. That's why their dedicated in-house IRA department is there to guide you every step of the way. Birch Gold values your questions and concerns. Their team is always available to provide answers and clarity. Whether it's about fees, taxes on rollovers, or the timing of the process, they're here to ensure that you feel heard and informed. Text Jordan to 989898 to talk to one of Birch Gold's experts and claim your free info kit on gold. You'll learn how to convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. The best part is it doesn't cost a penny out of pocket. Just text Jordan to 989898. That's Jordan to 989898 today.
Well, what's going on there is what's been going on inside our law with respect to empowering the administrative state for a long, long time, right? So standard legislation now, at either the federal or provincial level, is authorizing legislation, meaning you pass a bill about a certain subject, and it might contain some rules in it, but it also contains the authority, the delegation of authority to the bureaucrats, to an agency of some kind, to the minister, or to whoever, to a Human Rights Commission, to make policies or guidelines or regulations about certain things. And you can't tell by reading the statute what the rules are. Right. And so you've transferred legislative authority essentially from the legislature to the bureaucracy. And this is not the bureaucracy stealing it. This is the legislature giving it. because they don't want the responsibility of doing it, and they don't want to have to go through the minutia of figuring out what the right rules are. So they just shove it off into the back rooms, and this is the way the administrative state works. Now, if I can say, it's a kind of collusion between the legislature and the courts. So the courts, okay, we have these three branches of government. Yes, we have the legislature, we have the courts, and we have the administrative state. And, the division between them is cleanest in the American version of things. But in Canada and the UK, we have them as well. And the legislature and the courts are together supposed to be supervising what the executive branch, the administrative state, is doing. Because the general rule is supposed to be the administration, which used to be the king, after all, can't do anything that's not authorized by the legislature. Okay? So these three things are checks and balances on each other.
Yeah.
But now they're all on the same page. And the courts and the legislature are convinced about the need for this expansive, overwhelming administrative state. And so instead of supervising the administrative branch, and the courts, instead of making sure that they stick within their powers, the legislature's delegating to it, and the courts are deferring to it. And so what we end up with...
And the legislators don't have to take responsibility.
Exactly.
In either way.
Because we can't find who's responsible anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It's all sort of a mystery. It's a moving ball. And this is the way administrative agencies and government departments and ministries can be, quote, agile. They want to be agile. They want to be able to respond to societal problems quickly, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're able to respond quickly, that means you have the legislative power in your hands, and that nobody else knows exactly what's going on until it happens, and sometimes not until after the fact even, right? So that principle of the rule of law that said the rule applies to everybody, both the ruled and the ruler. If you have an agile government making rules up as they go along, well, that means by definition, the rules can't apply to them because they have the power to change them whenever they want to. And so we have agile governments who are managing us, managing society, solving social problems. We are in a managerial era in the law. Management, I would put it this way. Management, the ethos of managerialism has supplanted the rule of law as the basic idea. Instead of the rule of law, we have rule by law now, which means that the law is nothing more than a tool for the government to use to create on a whim, whenever they need it, to make you do this. And there was no better example of all of this than during COVID. You had people standing behind microphones on a Tuesday afternoon saying, well, the rule tomorrow is going to be this. That's agile government. It means the legislature is not taking on its role of making the rules, and the executive branch has taken over making the rules, applying the rules, and enforcing the rules, all on its own. And that is not the way the Western legal system used to work. We have managerialism instead of the rule of law.